All right. Thank you very much, Ellen, and welcome everybody. Just a quick introduction to SeeEverything. We are a global provider of performance improvement and compliance risk management software solutions for financial institutions. And our digitized observational coaching solution improves frontline engagement and drives sales and service performance. Our automated compliance testing solution increases compliance efficiency and transforms the way your frontline and testing teams work together. Combined with our consultative approach, we can help you be more effective with the tools that you already have in place. So today we're going to talk about some gaps in the data. Most banks and credit unions have a strategy in place to drive sales and service performance. And it's good, it's sound. But when it comes to execution, the results are less than stellar. Why is that? Because you've got gaps in the data. And you can see there we've got mind the gaps. So the gaps are really around the quality of behaviors in customer interactions. You know the customer interactions are happening, but what's the quality of that interaction? The gap is also in the visibility into the managers and bankers' interactions of the coaching that's going on. You don't really have accountability of are they implementing the things that you want them to? And if you don't know these things, how can you measure and manage the sales and service effectiveness of your people, and how can you really find the upskilling opportunities as well? So what we're going to be delving into a little bit here is how the visibility into those interactions with customers and managers makes the difference in terms of sales and service effectiveness. According to a recent survey that we conducted at SeeEverything, 58% of bankers admitted that their visibility of customer banker interactions was not high. Even more alarming is that 30% said they have low or no insight into the quality of banker manager interactions. Our research study confirmed that there's a strong correlation between the frequency of observations and the degree of visibility into frontline staff behaviors in customer observations. As expected, those organizations that had frequent and consistent observation had higher visibility. I know, Dave, we've talked about this many times. I'd be interested in what your thoughts are around observations of banker customer and manager banker interactions.
All right. Thank you, sir. And glad to be here. Welcome all across the country. Good to be here with you. First thing, I think right off the bat is we start talking about the coaching. And why is this such a priority, right? Why do we even care? And something I tell leaders all the time, whether you lead 3 people, 500, 5,000, your individual success is nothing more than the cumulative success and failure, pros and cons, successes, right, of your team, right? So when we talk about coaching, you're basically it is personal, right? Your personal success comes from your team's ability to perform. Right. And observing is critical. So we talk about coaching. I'm sorry, there are a lot of sports. I know, Jim, you're going to do the same thing. We have a lot of sports analogies, just because people can visualize these. It's like watching a football coach or a basketball coach, whatever. You don't just look at the scoreboard, right? You're not, you're coaching a team. You're seeing history. The score tells you history. It tells you results, and obviously we're judged by those. But to actually coach a team, you have to watch. You have to watch the game. You have to see what's happening. I think part of it, the key of observation as well is understanding that coaching and observing is about finding the pros and the cons, the strengths and the weaknesses. Too many people hear coaching and observation, or even the word observation, I think, strikes people wrong sometimes. And it's to let folks know that no, we catch you doing the right thing as well. In fact, one of the better ways to get information and be able to coach our entire teams properly is to find folks that are doing things especially well. Tom Peters years ago had a great line: "Celebrate what you want to see more of." Well, that's part of observing and watching people in their jobs and what they're doing well. And Phil Jackson had a good one too, talking about the importance of being positive, right? The importance of whenever you're giving corrective information to put in the positives, to let our team see that, no, we see you we observe you doing the right things as well. just gives us opportunity to give feedback, obviously, and help people, all of us, with our own blind spots. You don't have to be better at any task necessarily. You don't have to be the expert in everything to be an effective coach. To observe, you have to be objective and know what you're looking for, and to be able to help people. I can basically see the blind spot. Sometimes we may be saying, we think we're saying something, but we're not. We think our tone is one thing, but maybe it isn't. So it's the importance of, again, paying attention, giving honest feedback, positive and negative, and tailoring our coaching, being able to tailor our coaching to individuals. Not right. If you're not paying attention to individuals, if they're not getting individual, right, observation and coaching, they're going to be weak spots, right? Not everybody responds to the same thing. Not everybody has the same strengths and weaknesses. So that's I guess, yeah. I don't know if I say that in a nutshell, but that's the obvious importance of observing what's going on.
Right. I think the other thing that I hear a lot, or I've seen, is, a lot of people use this phrase out in the industry: inspect what you expect. And if you're really going to inspect what you expect, you've got to have the visibility into what is really happening. And I am not a good golfer, but if you don't inspect what you expect, if I went out golfing and, Dave, you're teaching me how to get my chip shot onto the green, you're going to say, I want to watch your swing. You're not going to sit there and go, okay, here's a bucket of 100 balls and try to hit them onto the green. I'm going to put a spray paint or a 10-foot circle around the hole. And Jim, I'm going to go get a drink at the 19th hole, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at how many balls are inside that 10-foot hole. That's terrible coaching, but that's typically what we're doing in business today, rather than watching me swing and giving me corrective action for it. So I think one of the things you mentioned, Dave, is that people need to realize that observation is not a negative thing. It's a positive thing. And people will also say, I want my seasoned employees to opt out. They know what they're doing, and we can really learn from them. So I think those are
absolutely. And you don't just star players get coached. That's how they remain star players, right? I mean, and again, we're pounding that nail pretty hard, but I think it's important right from the start, because too often people have just an instant negative impression or negative connotations about what it means to be observed, what it means to be coached. So from the start, we have to clear that up, that, professionals get coached.
Exactly. Well, we talked a little bit about observations. Let's talk a little bit about the frontline employee engagement and the customer experience here. Really, the link between customer experience and employee engagement is not as surprising as it once was. So employee engagement research has shown that CX leaders have 60% more engaged employees. It seems logical. But I think that one of the things that we see out there is a lot of organizations will start this strategy with the customer experience. And it really shouldn't start there. I think that's not what really happens. What ultimately drives the customer experience is the interactions your customers have with your people. So it really needs to begin with management, needs to start with their customers, which are their employees. Because if you have engaged employees that enjoy their job more, it's definitely going to come across when they're talking to customers. We've all seen that as consumers ourselves. We know when somebody loves their job. And why does somebody love their job? They believe in what they're doing. They're effective at it. They know how to do it. And the result is, if you have better engaged employees that love their job, you're going to have less employee retention, which is a big issue right now. You're going to have more a higher customer experience, because the customers are going to feel it. They're going to be served better because their needs are going to be met more than they are now. And that's going to really drive the sales and service effectiveness in the terms of positive business results. So if it's so evident, why are so many financial institutions that we talk with still struggling to improve employee engagement? Is it the over focus on customer experience without first addressing what I'm talking about, the employee engagement? Or is it because digital first banking initiatives are making frontline engagement less of a priority in the banks and credit unions? Or are the employee engagement methods like surveys, well-being programs, training, and coaching methods driven primarily through an HR function? Not that I don't believe in HR, but it's really the engagement of line managers that drive employee engagement, Is that what we're seeing, and it's not really moving the needle? So, Dave, I'd be interested in what your thinking is behind what I've been talking about here.
Well, I think, and you made a good point with, and it sounds off to say it, but if you look at what you're saying, it's true. Focusing too much on the quote unquote customer experience. Well, obviously, the customer experience is crucial, right? But it's like you point out, it doesn't. You're in some ways you're measuring history, right? You're measuring the results of what went into that. So when we're talking about, working again, helping our people upskill, become more comfortable and better at what they do, that produces that. And then you said one of the points you made was how many of our sort of rote transactions, just the transactions that used to drive traffic to a branch. Most of those things, many of those things are being handled digitally now, right? And too often, and it's been a lot of pundits out there that think that because total branch visits across the industry over the past few years have been down, that it means that these transactions matter less. And what I point out to people is, no, they actually matter more, because more and more of our interactions with customers in branches or on phones, or our interaction with customers are dealing with whether it's problem resolution or more detailed transactions, or hopefully it's to open an account or whatever. But these are more moments of truth now. Don't get me wrong; it's important to be frontline, to be competent with transactions, and I know there are a lot of folks out there that run branches, and this idea that there are no teletransactions. Please, I can pop into most any bank branch right now, and most across the country, you're going to find customers are still using them for transactions. But the greater majority are going into more detailed, interactive situations, and these are engagements that move the needle. A typical transaction in the past was, okay, are you efficient? Did you do it right? Fine. It's sort of expected. Doesn't typically tend to move the needle as far as customer experience. So, problem resolution, helping folks, and competence does. And again, the last thing on that is to remember: people don't visit branches, right? We call them branch visits. They don't visit branches. People are visiting bankers. Nobody goes to a branch to check out the furniture or read the signs or do whatever. They may do all that stuff while they're there, but they're going to a branch to interact with a banker, to right. So the quality of your people, right? The quality of your branch visit, the quality of your, branch of the future is it's your banker. It's the banker of the future. So that's the focus there.
Yeah. I think I used to say the name on the outside of the door, above the door, is really judged by the person that they're interacting with, the name on the desk.
And Jim, I'm going to just say, I don't know that you flew into a cloud bank or, now your voice still sounds great, but looks like I'm being deprived of the visual of there you go.
Okay.
There's that handsome facade. There you go. All
right. Just a couple of things too on that. With there's more complex transactions happening, and post pandemic, during the pandemic, all the talk was, oh, we need our people to be trusted advisors. We need to be able to. They really haven't been before in the past. I think we can all agree with that. So it's more important now that they really understand what the value is that they provide. So as we talk about employee engagement solutions, one of the things in the survey that we talked about earlier, we found that when it comes to trying to improve employee engagement, banks and credit unions are placing too much emphasis on employee surveys and training. Now, not that it's not important to have employee surveys, because you need to know what your employees are thinking and feeling. And I totally believe in training, because that's going to skill them to do the things that you want them to do. But it's not enough to move that needle that we're talking about. There are they're easier solutions. They're a one and done. I did the survey, it's done. I did the training, check the box. The harder things are not being done as much, and that's coaching and observations. Why is that? And I think we need to really look at what we mean by understanding human behavior. Typically as human beings, we don't want to do the hard things. Talking about like trying to get in shape, the hard stuff, doing push-ups and pull-ups. Nobody really wants to do those. The hard stuff with your diet. Nobody wants to give up pizza or French fries. But it's the harder things, and it's the discipline that makes it happen. So just by doing these one-off things of surveys, and we've seen it at where they've done the surveys, but there's no action to the surveys to really change the employee. So the survey of itself does nothing. Training in and of itself does nothing. It's the follow-up by management that makes things happen. And that's just the way that the world works. If we really want to improve employee engagement. I don't know, Dave, if you've got anything that you'd like to add to that. I know this is a big topic.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's sort of a theme developing here, right? Everything listed is, like you said, is important. It's obviously important, but some of these things are what we're working toward, right? So voice of employee, fantastic. You want to know how people are thinking, what they're feeling about their jobs and training, but whatever, say it's fantastic. Say everything is great. Well, the idea that, okay, let's just high five and go home and we'll do this again next year. And let's see if, the idea that just because something is going well, that it's totally, it can't be better. Right. Or there may not be some issues. That's what goes back down to trying to get more granular in running our businesses. And a lot of times it's fine. Again, it's overcoming this thought that observing things and coaching people, clearly and talking about it is in some way a negative, that we're going in here to just, we want to fix all the stuff you're doing wrong. Well, if there is, but it's as often identifying, we're doing this right. We're really good at this. Is everybody really good at this? Well, no, you know what? No. So let's coach. It's getting more granular and raising engagement, but good employees, right? And good people, engaged employees want to be coached. They want to be observed. They want to develop their own skills, right? We talk about, with the old thing, when people feel ignored or that they're in a dead end job, when they feel that that's a dead end, they start checking out.
Yep.
Right. I'm maxed out. And that doesn't mean that we necessarily have, here's the list, and hey, if you check this box, we're going to promote you to here, or it doesn't have to be like that, but it's just when coaching people, paying attention to them, giving them active feedback, lets them know that they matter and that they are being developed, right? They are being developed. And when you're talking to people, that develops careers, right? The better you get at this, one of my lines to bankers is, the better you are at getting other human beings to choose you, the more success you're going to have in this career or whatever career it is that you decide to have, right? At the end of the day, just my thing about sales, and sales is oxygen and growth, and that's not a topic for another day. But the better you are at growing whatever piece of the business is in front of you, the more success you're going to have. So developing those skills, say I'm a struggling golfer, man, I'm terrible. You know what? I'd like to have somebody who knows what they're doing, take a look at what I'm doing and help me, right? Help me fix it. It helps people grow professionally, personally, and it's just support, right? One of the we talk about motivating teams. Well, a big part of motivating teams is trying to pull away some of the demotivators,
right?
And a demotivator to folks, and I don't care if you're on the front line, you're in the back office, or you're in a C-suite, is feeling ignored, that you're not right. The people you report to, or the person you report to, is oblivious to what you're doing.
And
right
challenges you face. Yeah.
Right. So that's and so it's sort of it sort of all connects, but it's paying attention, right? It's finding ways, finding systems, whatever works for you, to be sure that you're right. Yeah. You're not just watching the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think those are all very important points. One of the things that always comes to mind is, people have talked about sales and service effectiveness and sales and service cultures for, years. Back in the days when I had dark hair. So it's been that long.
Last week.
Well, no. But then, as we started moving along, I started hearing some other organizations say, "Oh, we need to have a coaching culture," and I like that. I think that's good. But the one that I really believe in is a performance culture. And when you think of performance culture, what does that mean? Everything is based on the performance, but who are you performing for? You're performing for your clients, and you're performing for your members. So that helps get over that negative connotation of observation. It also shows that the managers need to care about their employees in terms of, equipping them not just with technology and tools to do their job, but with the right soft skills, the right behavioral skills to really serve the members' needs. So I think that's something that I like to hang on to. And I think it helps with this next slide too, which I know Dave has a number of, I think he's got a podcast on this and some articles on the science and art of things. And I like that a lot. So I think that managing and improving sales and service effectiveness is a mix of both art and science. There are loads and loads of behaviors that make up the sales and service process, what you want your people to do, but it can be overwhelming. Like the needs analysis or customer conversations, that's big. That's like teaching the entire game of golf. So what I would suggest is chunking that down into smaller things. So let's go back to the golf analogy again. If I go out and I swing for Dave, who's my golf coach, and he sees a few of my swings and goes, I know your problem. There's 50 things we need to fix with your swing. I'll probably quit golf. And what he's got to be doing instead is saying, okay, there's a number of things that we can fix here. Let's start with the three most important and start mastering the fundamentals, because then you're not overwhelming me, you're engaging me. And there's that mix between art and science. So Dave, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that as well.
If I were your golf coach, you probably should have quit before we got out there. Right, and again, I'm gonna play with the golf analogy. I am not good at golf. Now, if you watch every fourth shot or you follow me around and edited things down, I could put together a highlight reel that looks like I know what I'm doing. Right, I'm the kind of golfer that put me in a scramble. Those of you that aren't familiar with the scramble, it's you and three other folks get out there and you play your own. Then you all hit a shot, and then you play the best shot, right? And you go, and that's what, right? So I'm pretty good at that, because about 1 in 4 of the shots I hit are going to look good. Every now and then I'll hit them a mile, and then I'll lose a bunch of stuff, right? And the point there is consistency, right? Like we're talking about what the science and the art. Well, the better you get at the science, the better you are at the art. The more comfortable you are with what you do, the more reps you have, the more, whether you call it physical muscle memory or mental muscle memory of how to do a job. I've seen this before. I've gotten the feedback on this. I've performed, I've watched. And by the way, it's the same way with coaching, right? One of the things about coaching and becoming a more involved coach is you get better at it. You become a better leader the more practice you get at whatever level, whether you're coaching the front line or you're coaching the coaches. The more you do it, the more different people you work with, and you become better at communicating. You become better at making the point. And consistency is what it comes down to. We talk about service excellence, and everybody wants to have a culture. They want to be known for service, right? They want to be known. And a point I've made to folks is that most of the companies, most of the institutions, the organizations that we think of when we think of top level service, right? We just trust, man, that's fantastic service. It's more often the consistency of the service than necessarily the old wow moments. It's like me playing golf, right? Follow me around the court. 1 every 4 shots, man, you're going to say, wow, that guy can swing. And then the next 3, like, oh, geez, he's a hacker. Okay. So it's being able to be consistent with what we do. So when customer service scores fall, if they fall, it's typically not that we've just raised the bar so much that they have greater expectations, is that we've taken our eye off the ball. We're good at that. We did a survey. We're good, right? This idea that we don't coach to what we're already good at is a faulty one, right? No athletics coach would do that, and we shouldn't either. It's like you bolster what you're good at, you identify what needs to be improved, and you get consistent. And it gets back to that simplifying things. And it may be a different answer for all the people on this on this call. If you're running a branch, or you're running a division, or you're running a back, whatever you're running. So the tactics and the areas of focus may differ, but it's finding what's important, what is absolutely critical, and then to your point, don't over. If gee whiz, if we can fix these 3 things, let's look for a 4th. But you know what? Let's not start off looking for 10, because that's right.
It's not going to get done. It's like if it's what I heard early in my career is, if everything is important, then nothing is. So when I consult with some of our clients and they've got, expectations like this or goals like this, it's like, you can't really manage that. So really look for the things that make the big difference. I Going back to the survey, I think it's important to see that one of the things that we saw was that setting clear expectations and holding employees accountable for their performance was listed as one of the top challenges around employee engagement. The bankers listed two specific strategies that they're deploying to address this. And one of them was setting specific targets, which, for high impact customer facing activities like deepening relationships and onboarding, business development, but also helping each employee understand their individual contribution, how they make that vision happen to the overall business performance of the bank or the credit union. So it's really about, linking coaching to then the actual business performance. But 55% of the respondents said that their existing coaching solution is unable to look at the coaching interaction and link that interaction to, and that data to actual business performance improvement. So when asked about the data from those coaching interactions, the results showed that the majority of organizations lack the breadth or the depth of the information captured that was shared with banking leaders. So in a sense, you're almost managing in a vacuum. You know that they may be doing the activities. You don't have the quality around that activity. So you see people on this hamster wheel of our people are coaching, they're coaching. And they say, well, where is the performance improvement? Is the coaching working? And they're not able to answer that. Dave, I don't know if you've seen similar things with that as well.
Well, when you said that, one of the things that popped into my head too, depending on, again, what your range of responsibilities are, but, we coach the coaches, right? So it's impossible, especially as organizations get bigger. It's very difficult for whoever you are to individually coach all the folks, it's just not going to happen, even in the matter that's right. So, and again, it's the analogy. It's look at a football team, the head coach, they talk to players, they motivate players, but head coaches tend to coach their coaches. They know these are the folks that are in the trenches, that are paying attention, that are monitoring, that are helping, that are developing, that are giving the feedback. And then that's just how these things work. But I think it goes back to remembering that professionals get coached. Part of being a pro is getting coached, being observed. Surgeons are observed. Pilots are observed. Right? It's part of being a professional, and it's hard to hold someone to standards. And again, it's the wording. So even just saying, well, we need to hold people to standards. You know what? Yes, we do. But that comes across a lot of times to people with negative, and it's really not. It's how life and business works. And I want to hold you to standards because I want you to succeed. Right. My goal is that anybody who reports to me, right, it's that old line I like to use. They report to you, you work for them. Right. My goal is to try to help you as an individual be as effective as you can be in your job. Well, it's hard for me to do that, or to hold a standard, set a standard, if I don't know what the heck's going on. Mm-hmm. Right. If I'm always looking at the scoreboard and, like you said, I checked the box. All right, I did a coaching session. Well, what? Okay, what came of that? Maybe the problem's not that you're not responding to coaching. Maybe the problem is, okay, we're not coaching to the right thing. And wait a minute, so you're coaching this person, and nobody's seeing any improvement. So maybe the problem is not right. You can just start dissecting where the issue may be, and by observing, being more closely and getting feedback. We also know how close we are, right? What kind of progress we're making. There's progress that is made, and there's progress that is lost before it ever hits the scoreboard, mm-hmm. Right? We may have had a great quarter, or may have had a bad quarter, whatever. But by paying closer attention to what's going on, be able to pay attention to what's driving this, we know, are we moving in the right direction? Yeah. Where the scoreboard may not be a surprise to me next month, next quarter. And look, it goes back to good people want to be coached, right? It raises their engagement. It develops us as leaders, right? Not only does it help our people, it makes us better leaders. The more practice we get at it, it increases productivity, right? It just does. Yeah. Right. It's kind of funny. End of the day, let's go back to it. Why do you do all this? Because you become more productive. Mm-hmm. Your people get better. You get better. You become more productive. Right. Everybody's happy. Yeah. and just get better retention.
Yeah.
Flat out, people who are better at their jobs, people who feel paid attention to, tend to stay with the jobs.
Yeah. And
So
I think that the standards thing is really important, the comment that you made, because people say that and they think it's a negative thing. So in the world of medicine, there's a standard that, if you go in for surgery, they're going to wash their hands. Would you like your surgeon not to, I don't believe in the standards. It's
right.
not a negative thing. To have standards is a good thing because that gets to the consistency. And, in using a baseball analogy, and I have to throw it in because people who know me on this call know that I can't go a call without talking about that. When going to the scoreboard, I could be 0 for 4. You look at that in the paper and you think, bad night at the plate for Jim, hitting, 4 at-bats and no hits. I could have driven each ball to the warning track, which is right before the fence before a home run, and gotten robbed of a home run. That's a totally different story. But when we're managing and we're looking for the information, we need to have that granular information. So one of the ways that SeeEverything can help our clients in terms of drive, performance, employee engagement, and sales and service effectiveness is visibility. We've talked a lot about observations, but what's being captured in these observations? What's happening with these observations? Are they specific enough that we know what's going on between the banker and the customer or the member? And when the information is gathered, is it sitting in one place, or can we access it through automated insights of what's working and what's not? The second way is through accountability. When people are held accountable, things happen. I think that's really all you need to say there. We have ways to make sure that people are accountable for what is being expected of them. And it's not just training, it's are they implementing the training? And the third one is efficiency. And efficiency is also the efficiency of your people doing the right things with their customers and members, and also the efficiency of allowing your managers to spend more time observing and getting the information from that observation than trying to pull from other pieces of the organization to see, is our coaching making a difference? So with that, if you want to learn more, I know we're covering this very quickly. We'd be happy to schedule a sort of demo with you to show you how this would work. And to give you a little taste about our observational coaching solution, we talked earlier about the things that it does, about improving customer engagement, sales and service performance, and employee engagement. But want to share with you a couple of clients. This first one is a bank that is over $650 billion in assets. They achieved 13% improvement in customer experience as measured by NPS, a 44% increase in employee engagement, and their outcomes and activities in sales and service went up 30% over a 6-month period. And for a credit union that we work with, they saw customer engagement go up 10%, sales and service go up 19%, and an increase in new checking accounts. Remember, credit unions start with savings accounts and then move to checking accounts. But I think the key thing for them is they saw a 25% reduction in employee turnover. So that means they're keeping the people because they are more engaged with their jobs.